This video is going to be about the 4 P's for success in our math dungeon. Classroom. So the 4 P's for success in our math classroom. Now, hopefully this poster looks very, very familiar. Hint, look around the classroom, it's on the wall. Now, we're going to talk about the 4 things to keep in mind in order to be successful in what we're doing in class. Those 4 things are, in general, we're going to go into more detail in just a moment. Being prepared, being prompt, being productive, being polite. These should sound very familiar. These are commonly used in many different places to describe what you need to do in order to be successful. Let's start by talking about being prepared, and this is arguably one of the most important aspects that you need to be doing to be successful in any classroom and in any activity you're working on. For starters, have any practice assignments already done with all work shown. This means you didn't just have the answers written, you didn't just copy it off a neighbor, you've actually worked through each of them and you've identified what you're really clear on, what you're not clear on. And the goal is you should be able to come into class with specific questions about anything you're confused about. Literally draw arrows if you have to the part that you are confused about. So if you're confused about that part, draw an arrow pointing to it, or maybe write an actual literal question. That would be great to clearly indicate anything you still need to ask questions about. One step further of being prepared, when you're watching or rewatching, if you're going back to improve the videos, the tutorial videos that we make and post, when you're taking notes, here's what you should be doing. Hit pause frequently to think or write things down. Meaning, if you know that you think you know what's going to happen in the video, like you're predicting, you're already thinking to yourself, hit pause and think about it for a moment, and don't just let the video tell you. Take the time to think for yourself, and then see how you're doing. Ideally, when you actually see examples, on a scratch sheet of paper, you should be working some of those out on your own first. Like, don't feel like you have to commit to doing it perfect the first time on your notes, because then sometimes you're very nervous about wanting to try something if you're not sure if you're doing it correctly. Even if you're not super confident, at least take a moment to try it on your own sheet of paper, on another scratch sheet of paper. That way, when you do hit play, you can get the explanations and then you can copy down fully and correctly on your notes, so it's neat and organized and structured. And most importantly, when you're going through the notes, I want to make sure you come in with specific questions in mind from the video. Literally tell me, at 2 minutes and 37 seconds, I got a little confused. What was going on there? Or you can literally, if there is a certain step, try to make your questions as specific as possible, because when you make your questions specific, you're forcing yourself to organize your thoughts on what you understand, what you don't understand, and just that pure act in itself, you literally are learning, even though it seems silly because you're identifying something you don't know. But being specific about what you do and don't know about that part, that already is learning in itself, and you want to become a organized, self-sufficient thinker. On the topic of notes, I will say it is clear in many of our classrooms, without even looking at someone's face or someone's grade, you can predict a lot of times how successful someone is in our class literally just by looking at the quality of not just their binder, but specifically their notes or their examples in there. They're actually writing them with quality and with care, as if they care about them, because the implied intention is that they're going to look at them and use them. So if you give yourself that resource, you make it neat and organized and actually as helpful to yourself as possible, your knowledge will go up and your grade will follow. So take pride in creating neat, organized, helpful notes and examples for yourself. Alright, so that was talking about how to be prepared for class. Now let's discuss being prompt. Being prompt should be obvious. Be on time. So make sure you're coming in on time. You're not coming in tired or anything like that. Ideally, when you come in, as you come into the door, you should be looking at the agenda in the classroom, and it'll have any kind of instructions. So get out any necessary materials you're indicating by looking at the activities they're going to be doing. Most generally, it's going to be your math binder, your agenda, a writing utensil, things like that. But maybe the topic might involve graphing. Maybe you want to get out graph paper or things like that. So once you get out your necessary materials, remember to put your backpack up where it goes in the corner of the room on our sweet backpack shelf. Once you've done that, as you head to your desk, you're going to get started as soon as possible on whatever questions or tasks that are on the agenda. So sometimes bell work is questions, sometimes bell work is a task saying, hey, get this out and get a red pen so we can check this assignment. Sometimes it's instructions to get something prepared. So make sure you're getting started on that as soon as possible. That's what I mean by being prompt. All this should be done as soon as possible, such as sharpening your pencil as soon as you come in, so that you're not needing to do it in the middle of the period when you're trying to focus on your work, or when you're trying to listen to some kind of instructions. Alright, so that was being prompt. Now let's talk about what it looks like to be productive. This is where it becomes more obvious. It's like a domino effect. How prepared you are and how prompt you are is the domino effect leading into how productive you can be. Because once you're here in class, it's time to actually do it. Let's actually work on it, ask questions, and make mistakes and learn from them. And show the courage to do so. But you're gonna use our time we have to effectively and efficiently help ourselves as much as possible. And you can do this by utilizing some of your resources, such as your notes, your examples, your prior practice assignments, your textbook, a neighbor, or even myself. So you're literally, when you're here to do it and here to clarify any misunderstandings you have. Use this time to your advantage. And just like I mentioned with the notes, take pride in what you're doing. When you're working on a practice assignment, make it as quality as you can, because the more the quality, the more likely you are to use it again. The more likely you are to use it again, the more benefit you're going to get from that assignment, other than just the practice it was for you to begin with. How many times have you been working on a review and you needed a quick reminder on how to do this type of question? Well, if you have neat, organized steps on a similar practice assignment on how to do those questions, you're going to be able to quickly and easily see what you did before and jog your memory. It makes much more sense to get help from something you've already done than it does from asking someone to explain it to you, because they're going to tell it to you the way it makes sense to them or the way they did it. But the way you do it and looking at what you've done, you literally are giving yourself an opportunity to learn from your prior efforts. A part of being productive is get organized, stay on top of your strengths and weaknesses, and know what you can do about them. That's one of the things you want to make sure you're doing as well. Alright, that was being productive. Now, last but not least, let's talk about being polite. While you're in our class, make it a good thing. Be a positive influence on the classroom. Be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Because let's be honest, who would you rather be working with? This guy or this lady? I mean, you get an idea of who you would be more positive to want to work with. So be that person that other people want to be like. So be a role model, or simply just not be a part of the negative problem that might be in the room. Be a part of working towards showing courage to learn from your mistakes and moving forward to better yourself. And I'll leave you with this final thought. Even sharks can be polite.